Live from the power of the internet, it's the Retro Reload podcast, starring Fawkes, Lizzie, the Red-Bearded Gamer, and DashV. And this is Trojan from the King of 94, Wisconsin. And now here's your host, DashV.
Hi, folks. I am your host. Well, I guess that's redundant now. So, thank you for that excellent introduction, Troy, and welcome back, man.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Like
Thank you.
Third or fourth episode with us now, I believe.
There might be. I think this might be the third.
Wow. So, how you been, my friend?
I'm doing great. Proud father of our third son. He's about 5.5 months old and keeping us up at night. So, you know, living the dream.
Yeah. So, congratulations and my condolences.
Right?
It's
hard to get all that gaming in.
Oh, I understand that. So folks, we're going to get into some, Troy is here with some interesting news and some interesting events as always. So, but we're going to hold off on disclosing exactly what those are until a little bit later in the show. So stay tuned. He'll also be giving a couple of shout outs throughout the show of where you can catch up with him and what's going on. So keep your eyes and ears, tuned for that. So I want to give a follow-up, though. I want to kind of start the show a little bit with a follow-up from last week. First of all, thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody who offline and in the doodly-doo commented on my adulting predicament there. Troy, did you catch last episode?
I was not able to.
That is okay. So last episode, my predicament was that I was debating whether or not I should buy a pinball machine that I had been pining for my entire adult life, basically since college. Mm-hmm. So for the last 20 years, I've been like wanting. And the pinball machine, I'm going to fully disclose now. The pinball machine was Attack from Mars limited edition. And so this is one of the top pinball machines of all time. And certainly near and dear to my heart. I'm not going to rehash the story. You can check out last episode to see the full story about why the pinball machine is near and dear to my heart. The whole episode, though, last week was basically about like, should I go into debt to acquire this pinball machine? It's a limited run of 1,000 machines and all that other stuff. I'd already worked out I could make the payments, etc. But just do I actually go and do it? It would be the single most irresponsible thing adult DashV has ever done. But it would also be like the conclusion of this dream that I've had for 20 years. So drum roll, did I do it or not?
I say no, you're responsible.
All right, Jeremy says no, I didn't do it, right? And to be clear, like on the last show, people's advice was split, like almost 50-50. Yeah. So Jeremy said don't do it. Kyle, you said you wouldn't do it, right?
I said I wouldn't, yeah.
So Lizzie, would you have done it?
If you saw my bedroom with all the Sonic shit, come on. I mean, there is a $25,000, I think it's $25,000 Sonic pinball machine. If I had the money, shoot, I'd be getting that sucker.
Okay, awesome. So Lizzie would do it, right?
I had friends that were split. Remember that?
Yep. Troy, what about you?
In the Midwest, $25,000 goes a lot further than say out west. That's like more than the value of both of my vehicles. So I'd have to say no on that.
Oh, okay. Well, in my defense, right, like Lizzie would pay $25,000 for a Sonic pinball machine. I only paid $8,000 for a particular pinball machine. So I did not. I'm not. I also would not pay $25,000. That'd be way too much. But this machine is amazing, guys.
So did you buy it? You didn't say if you bought it or not.
I did buy it. So there's an interesting thing, right? Like, so I bought from the Game Room guys, which you can check them out at www.gameroomguys.com. And there's 3 different editions of this game. There's the standard edition, there is the special edition, and then there's the limited edition. And the standard and special they're going to keep making, but each tier that you go up, there's like different things that they have or don't have. And so the lowest edition, I think, let me look so that I'm not just saying random bad stupid stuff. So if you just get the classic edition, it's $6,800. If you get the special edition, it's $7,600. And if you get the limited edition, that's the one that they're only making 1,000 of. So the other 2, they'll keep making them as long as people keep ordering them, at least for some period of time into the future. But for the limited edition, they're only making 1,000 of these. This is the one that they pulled out all the stops, completely decked it out. Best version of the pinball machine that ever has and potentially ever will exist. $8,300. And so for me, when I'm looking at like, okay, like lowest end is 68, high end is 83. I'm like, in for a penny, in for a pound. If I've wanted it this long, I might as well get the best dang one that money can buy, especially if I have to take out a loan to get this thing. So I did.
He's not joking either. He literally took a loan out on this thing.
I literally took out a loan. And what was cool though was, so I want to make sure to mention, and I'm not getting a discount or anything on this at all. So I'll chronicle some of the rest of the journey in future episodes. This particular pinball machine, the $8,300 is including the shipping.
All right.
So yeah, and anybody that knows, so like according to the information here, this pinball machine, do they say here? Somewhere here they specify it weighs 250 pounds.
Oh gosh.
So it's not light to ship by any means. Now the interesting thing is, right, the box dimensions are about 32 by 32 and then 6 feet tall. I measured, the box will physically fit into the doorway of the house.
Okay.
So I'm good there. The challenge is going to be the doorway to the room that it's supposed to go into is actually 28 inches wide. So,
okay. So are you gonna like open it and then take it out piece by piece up to wherever you're gonna put it?
Yeah, so I talked to a friend of mine. And he said that as long as I and this is where people start laughing at me and making dirty jokes in the chat. A friend of mine who owns several pinball machines and has placed them at different places in his house says, as long as you drain the balls, you can tilt the table sideways and move it to any room that you want.
So you gotta drain your balls. Got it.
So I gotta drain the balls, and then I don't know why people would like take that out of. I don't know why I'm worried that people would take that out of context.
I had a procedure in December that was kind of resembled that.
No more kidlets.
No more kidlets.
All right. Well, so yeah. Apparently, the table is okay if I tilt it sideways and move it in. Now, if anybody else out there listening like knows about pinballs and has moved pinball machines and stuff, knows, especially with this one in particular, if there's a reason why I should not do that, let me know. The last thing I want to do is like break the thing like 10 minutes in to getting it. That would be awful. But yeah, I'm super excited. So here's the deal, right? So it took me a couple of days because I didn't need like parts of this thing financed. Like I needed to finance the whole darn thing. And so here's what was amazing is, so talking to Game Room guys, I talked to this really great guy named David. So David, is it okay if I mention your name, David? Is it all right, David? I'm going to mention your name, David. Is that okay, David?
Did David say his name, David?
I hope David's all right with that. So anyway, I talked to this really great guy who I won't mention David's name at Game Room guys. And he walked me through the steps, sent me some information via email of how they actually have a place that they finance through. So and they get a special interest rate for it, or that you can do the certain number of time with no payments and zero interest and all that. So they have a couple of different options. What was interesting was I was like the first. I don't think I was the first person, but I'm one of the few people that called up that was like, I need to finance the whole darn thing, right? And so I definitely tested the limits of what they were able to pull off with their financing. But it all went through. The I got the text this morning. The arcade machine is actually here in California. I can schedule delivery as soon as Thursday if I want to. And
who's delivering it? Post office, UPS, FedEx?
No, they have their own. They deal with their own shipping. I think it's RNL. I don't remember the exact. I think it's RNL shipping.
Pissed off at you.
So, so it's going to be.
What the hell is this?
No, and it's going to be curbside, right? So I actually have to borrow a hand truck from somebody at church to like, and I got to lash this thing down and like bring it up the steps because I can't. I'm not even with my working out. My shirt isn't like tearing open of muscles. So I'm gonna have to.
Careful, Dix. I want to update. Yeah, that was a waste of $8,000.
I could just see like it just tumbles down the stairs, right? And
it's okay. You know, the last 5 days, you're just sitting on the curb, just looking at it like this.
Right, and then it starts to rain. So yeah, so they they worked with me. They were patient with me through the financing and stuff. Did a really good job of taking care of me. The only I'll put a link in the chat, and I'll include a link in the doodly-doo. I apologize, friends, that I did not. I apologize, friends, that I did not say the name of the machine last week. But here's how close it was. So it took me a good 2 or 3 days to I had to fill out the paperwork, then I had to send it in because I needed the whole thing financed. So it's higher than the limit that they normally give on the financing. They ran the extended credit check, make sure I was good for it. I was. They issued the credit and all that other stuff. But it took a couple days for all these pieces to come together because part of it's in East Coast, part of it's in I'm in West Coast, and so and I had to kind of like before work or after work type of thing do some of these follow-ups. But they were super patient. They couldn't hold a machine for me, and they were clear about that. Hey, look. Right, it's all luck of the draw. So the whole time I'm just terrified I'm gonna get all this stuff together, get this massive credit line, and then basically have this card that I'm not gonna put anything on because I lost out. But everything came through. We got the order in on Friday, and literally in the email he's like, "Hey, dude, just so that you know, you got the last one."
Oh wow.
And there were 3 last week when you were looking, right? So those went pretty quick.
Yeah, I seem to remember. I don't know if he said 3 or if he just said a few, and I assumed a few means 3. But yeah, my feeling was that there was only 3 or 4 of these, and so yeah, I got. I don't know if I got literally the last one, but he in the email where he sent me with here's your order number, here's the invoice and everything. He goes, "We just sold out."
Yeah.
So I got super lucky. So the big man up there must not have a problem with my financial decision.
Well, he did.
Right. What's going to happen is it's going to get delivered, put on the curb, and then immediately struck by lightning. And then I'll know God was not completely on board with it. But so I called my dad. And my dad is always, I can always count on my dad to be like, "You did what? Are you stupid?" Right? My dad's a great guy, but he doesn't pull any punches when he thinks I've done something that maybe I ought not to have done. Less so now that I'm an adult, but so I talked to him about it, and I'm like, "Dad, here's what's going on. Here's what I did, blah, 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 blah." And so he just asked me a handful of questions. And after the questions, he's just like, "You've busted your ass your entire life." He's like, I think, he goes, "You said you can make the payments. You said that you worked it out. You said that Lisa's okay with it. My wife, Lisa, is okay with it." He goes, "Dude," he goes, "there's nothing wrong with, every now and then just being like, you know what? My time. This is for me." So he goes, "Now, if you're doing this once a week, I'm going to have to come over there. I'm going to have to backhand you." But it's I don't see any problem with it. So that meant a lot. That meant a lot that my dad was like, "You're not being irresponsible. You're not, He's like,
just wants to know how many balls are there and how much do they weigh.
So how many? I think oh man, listeners may. I wish I could bench press. I don't actually know how much I can bench press. I might be able to bench press 250. I don't know. I haven't. Bench press is one thing that I don't do. I do mostly curls and all that other stuff, but that's off topic, man. You're getting me off topic. I don't know how many individual balls are inside the machine. I don't know what the maximum multi-ball, dropout is. I don't know if it's 4 or 6. Again, I've never gotten to really play it a lot. So other than like in digital versions and stuff, and I don't know if those are different than the real deal. So
80 grams from a quick Google search.
What's that?
Pinball weighs 80 grams. I Googled it real quick. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So 80 grams. We're not doing the conversion for you if you live in another region. You're gonna have to do your own conversions. So Troy.
Yes.
I have to ask you, my friend. I understand, right, that there's certain upper limits to money, etc. But like for you, if you were to make a big purchase, like requires months of sacrifice and some reordering of some funds level purchase related to gaming, is there anything that would push you over the edge, or at least severely tempt you into like, all right, I'm gonna have to stretch, but this is worth it territory? Anything?
Being in the retro tournament community, maybe not so much a thing, but maybe the desire to go somewhere. There's been talks. The Retro World Series had a big event in 2016 that I really wanted to go to, and it was before Baby came in the picture, and it didn't work out. As far as having an actual like arcade machine, those are things that I've wanted, but with the way emulators are, the trade-off to me wasn't always there. I've always been able to replicate that experience using third-party arcade sticks and things like that. So for me, being able to go to like a tournament somewhere where I know that I've got a decent chance of competing in it. Mortal Kombat 2 seems to come into mind, 1 or 2. Both those games I'm pretty good at. And if I could go to an event, that's something that I would bring up to the wife.
Better ask and ask for permission. Just saying.
If I don't show up, I might come back and it might be divorce papers. So I mean, you got to run those things by the missus.
Right. I was gonna say I don't endorse that. I don't endorse that tactic, Jeremy. I made it clear to my wife 2 things. Right. 1, this doesn't have to happen. I will love you if you say that we can't make this, this pinball thing work. But I'd be very happy if we at least like entertain whether or not this is possible. And I'm expecting fully. I was expecting her to like shut it down, right? Not in a malicious way, but just in a, hey, I ran the numbers. I'm sorry, it's just too tight. We can't make it work. And in that, I would be comfortable just going, hey, at least I thought about it. I considered it. Just wasn't within my reach, right? Mm-hmm. But imagine my surprise when she's just like, well, you'll have to give up this, or you'll have to, we'll have to move this stuff around here, right? Like no more, if you can commit to no more pickups, until this thing's paid off, then, yeah, like as long as you can keep the payments within this window of money. And I was like, that's a way different, that's a way different response than what I'd necessarily expected. So it worked out. And I think part of it too is the dynamic of I don't usually ask, like I don't usually have big asks like that are just like for me. Like I very rarely, I mean, yeah, I got a lot of games and all that other stuff, but we covered last week. There's a way that we've figured out in our budgeting that she can have some money, no questions asked. I can have some money, no questions asked. And as long as we stay within that budget, we can pretty much get what we want. That said, that budget's nowhere near like me buying a pinball machine outright. So
they can't buy another one next year.
Well, if I pay this one off this year, absolutely, I can buy one next year. But
that fly twice.
What's that?
I don't think she'll let that fly twice.
Oh no, you don't understand. It's not. That's not the way that it works, right? Like, because the deal is, as long as I keep working, I keep making money, right? So as long as the flow keeps going, right? Like it's always, I mean, just because a river, right, banked left once upon a time doesn't mean it can't bank right the next time, right? As long as the water's still flowing, it can go wherever the land is willing to let it go. So
I think your wife should record you playing the first time once you get it set up, just so we get a reaction.
You think she should record what?
Your reaction when you first start playing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna try to kind of get this stuff. It might be crappy cell phone quality stuff. It won't be my normal webcam quality stuff, maybe. But yeah, definitely get some of me receiving and all that other stuff. So, yeah. So thank you, folks, for helping me out trying to figure it out. As you might have already noticed, hey, wait a minute, DashV said like no pickups. What the heck is he doing? I tried to say hell and heck at the same time, and it came out hell. So what the heck was DashV doing with a copy of Shadow of the Colossus Special Edition? Fortunately for me, the no more pickups, anything that I'd already pre-ordered on Amazon prior to discovery of Attack from Mars Pinball is grandfathered in. That's how awesome my wife is. So I did have Shadow of the Colossus Special Edition pre-ordered, and I'm both excited for this game, but also sad because Special Edition contents, here they are, right? Here's Special Edition contents. And in case that's too blurry, let me read that for you guys in the chat, right? Steelbook game with disc. Okay, cool. Artist postcards. Okay, cool. 2 custom themes. Colossi avatar setup. World map. That's pretty cool. Colossi stickers. All right, that's interesting. Printed manual. We've now crossed the threshold to where a printed manual is like qualifies something as the special edition. I'm both excited that it has a printed manual, but sad that it has to be explicitly listed as special edition contents. What do you got there, manuals.
Troy? This is NHL 94 printed manual. This is how.
Oh, you got the special edition. I see.
This is not a special edition 94. No, this is. They're all special. They really all are. Just like the person holding it.
Yeah, there we go. Every single one of them was a special edition.
He's gonna hammer in the middle of the show.
So, Sam Demand says he's doing good, and he hit 600 subs a couple weeks ago. Sam Demand, that is awesome. You got 600 subs, and guess what? I'm working on 1 of 2 cheeseburgers. So,
hey-o.
There we go, my friend. One of 2, right? I got a matching set there. So I'll work on the subs.
Chris, how we want to Troy's tournament that's coming up.
Absolutely, Troy. Give us a little bit about. I stalled long enough. Troy, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you're up to currently and how folks can take part?
Okay. So in end of this month here, February 24th in Green Bay, Wisconsin, we are hosting our 3rd NHL 94 tournament. And for the first time ever, we are adding Super Nintendo in addition to Genesis. So you'll be able to compete in 2 different tournaments on the same day, starting with Super Nintendo and then the Sega Genesis, as we had done the prior 2 tournaments, is also still in effect. And we recently reached out to Fallout Games at the recommendation of Mikey McBrien. Mikey McBrien, for those of you who don't know, he is one of the key figures in the King of 94, which is the larger scale NHL national tournament that happens approximately every 1 to 2 years. He's also on Ice Pilots, which is a Netflix show that you can catch on there. But he got me hooked up with Scott Doss over at Fallout Games. They did a great job setting us up with additional systems at a very affordable price. So if you're ever looking for some clone units, maybe you don't want to do wear and tear on original systems and controllers, definitely check out their brand. They sent us on a loaner unit. They're great, and the pricing that they gave us on the rest of it was awesome. But so now we're set up to do both, because that was the big barrier before was, depending where you are, and Super Nintendo's at the low end or $50. At the high end, they're 125 if you want a 1 chip. So they doing 9 or 10 setups was pretty expensive. So, but we've got plenty of cards now, plenty of controllers, plenty of systems, and we still have the Sega Genesis, which is kind of what I prefer, but I'm starting to like the other game as well. And in fact, yep, see, you got it right there on the feed there, Jeremy. And so, yeah, we're real excited. We actually have professional hockey announcer Arda Ocal from MSG Networks is making the journey, and he's going to be calling our live stream. And here's the real cool thing. We have a live organist, Dan Rafferty from NEW Piano Guys. So just like you hear the organ riffs in the game, he's going to go his own twist on that. So he'll be playing organ and taking requests. I'll also be opening the event with both the Canadian and the United States national anthems. My background is music, so I'll be leading on the festivities with that. And the venue is a virtual reality arcade, so there is a video kind of highlighting some of that I sent in, so maybe you can share that with the viewers. They can check that out later, but kind of talking about the what's going on. We had a lot of fun making that video, and the company that owns the VR arcade also owns the production company that shot that video.
Oh, cool.
So how many players you got going this year?
So the first two tournaments, we had 16 players, both exact. And this one, we're actually already up to 40 committed between the staff and those that have paid in. And there are about 4 to 5 people that have said that they're coming and they haven't sent their payment in yet. So we'll see what happens. But what we did but in addition to this promo video, really help get the word out. We decided to do online pay only. So there's no walking in the day of the event and saying, hey, can I play? We're doing all the groups, all the organization well in advance, and really put people to it and said, hey, you want to play in this? Get it done or you're going to lose your spot. And that's paid off real well for us. So so right now we're at a solid 40, and our absolute maximum of that venue is 48. But we already have 4 people said they're coming. So that means there's only 4 slots open as of right now, on top of those 4. So,
and what's the prize money like?
So there's a split that happens with the prize money thanks to PayPal and some of the expenses we have, getting into this. But approximately, so if you take that $30, we're basically chopping $4 off for overhead, and then $9 goes to the venue, but that in turn gets you a $20 voucher for the virtual reality. So it is a virtual reality arcade. You'll get a $20 voucher to be using on their equipment, and then $8 will go to the Super Nintendo side. $8 will go to the Genesis side, and then there'll be an even split for any child entry. So there's a $10 child entry. If you have a parent that wants to, so it is a family-friendly event for those that might be interested. They want to bring anyone 7 and older, they can certainly do that. And my son competes, and he's won a couple games over the last couple tournaments. So it doesn't take much to kind of figure it out. To get real good is another story. But so because we are doing 2 tournaments, the prize money will be split between the 2. So we didn't do any projections on that just because we've already more than doubled our last tournament. So it'll be in the hundreds that'll be given away.
That's pretty good.
In addition to that, I was going to say we have a number of challenges in there. So the late Zarly Zalapski was a defenseman for the Hartford Whalers in the game. He passed away recently, and so we are doing a challenge where if you score any points, that's assists or goals with him in a game, you just take a picture of that and you get a raffle ticket for that. And then we're also the tournament is called a Flurry of Goals, honoring Theron Fleury from the Calgary Flames. In the Genesis version, he is known to be a very good checker. So any body checks with him are going to be also get you a raffle ticket. And we have unopened trading cards from the early 90s that even predate the 1994-93 season that will be up for grabs with those.
Nice.
And then people can also, if they wish to, make a donation. The proceeds for this are going to go help a local missionary from our church. So we're going to be, after our costs on those cards are covered, we're going to go ahead and bless that individual and help her with her expenses as well. So.
Where's the missionary currently serving?
She is actually going to be going to the islands of Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
And it's not a vacation. Some people they kind of raise an eyebrow to that. There's a lot of impoverished areas, a lot of substance abuse, and so she'll be working with them on that. I mean, sure, she'll probably get a tan at the same time. I mean, while you're there, right? But
I definitely understand where you're coming from. My wife and I went to Hawaii. We went to 2 different islands. We went to the island of Kauai for one of them, and you're right. Like for all the places that you see, normally as a tourist, what you see is you see the Hawaii that's kind of lush and beautiful and resorts and all this other stuff. But as you start going, inland, or you start going to the more rocky and craggy parts of the island that aren't like nice sand and all that other stuff, you start to see a very different Hawaii. You see a Hawaii that's kind of struggling to kind of survive amidst you got all these tourists coming in, dropping lots of money. And while that's good in some ways for their economy, you also have people just coming in and like buying homes that they never live in, but they're buying them at like crazy prices because people want to have a house in Hawaii. And so if you live there and you're, just getting a working wage, it can be, or if you're, staying there for an extended period of time, it's a very, very expensive lifestyle to kind of uphold. It's one of the few places I've ever been in the US that I think it's actually more expensive to live there than it is here in the Bay Area, which is here in the Bay Area, prices and everything have just gotten, insane. So, but in Hawaii, it's like a whole nother level. So I couldn't sell my house here. I couldn't sell my house here and go buy one in Hawaii for the same size. Like I'd have to I'd sell my house here and maybe buy like a studio apartment in Hawaii, depending on the island and depending on the place.
Wow.
So
just watch Dog the Bounty Hunter. If you could just see all the poverty right there.
What was that?
Watch Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Hawaii. Tell us about that fancy trophy you got next to you, Troy.
Yeah.
This is the original Lord Manley's Cup.
Man, nice.
This is hoisted by the champion of we call the King of 94. It is machined aluminum. I'm sorry, not aluminum, rather stainless steel. And to really class it up, we have a prefabricated kitchen mixing bowl. This one welded to the top of it. So in the honor of Lord Stanley's Cup, and make your own little take on it, it's called Lord Manley's Cup. Now, we found out, so just again, to frame this, the world champion in Sega Genesis, undisputed right now, is Angry J93. Goes by the name, that's his nickname. And he told us the TSA takes apart all his trophies because he goes all over the place, and he's the most traveled NHL 94 player there is. And unfortunately, the trophies get destroyed in the process. So he said, "There's no way I'm letting this work of art get taken apart." So we've held it in his care. So this year, the individual that unfortunately we were unable to get a second one made because we upped the timetable for the second tournament. We was like 6 months away from the first one, and then we started going annual at that. But I digress. There are now 2 smaller versions that are being made, one for the Super Nintendo champion, one for the Sega Genesis champion, and they're now shippable. So we'll be able to ship them forward. This thing is 16 pounds. It's very awkward, and it's very bottom heavy. So it's something that even in you got to take great care in moving, and it'd be something that we can afford to send on to the person if they had to fly in, we'll make sure to get it to them. And we have Canadians coming because we've got all the way from Ottawa, Toronto, and then the champions from Sacramento. So we've really spanned North America with our travel base.
That's cool, though. It's going international.
I want to
international.
I want to fill that bowl full of coleslaw.
What I tell you what though, because these bowls are pretty thin. Like people say, "Well, can I fill it up with beer or something?" They would, "Hey, let's fill it up with some right now." And it would actually leak into it, so it doesn't make a very good consumption when it was welded. It does have small punctures through it that would not be able to do that. So it's good in theory, but it holds money very well, which is what
that's what it's for.
So right on the championship match, we'll put this right next to the players, and we'll put the money right at the top, and so they know right what they're playing for.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So that's nice jersey you have over. sweater.
Yes. Oh, nice. Good correction there. This is Ed Belfour, a recreation of Ed Belfour, who is the starting goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks in NHL 94. He is the highest overall rated goalie in that game and happens to be the goalie of my favorite team, the Blackhawks. So I had this custom made. There's a company called Black and Tan Sports that can pretty much put together whatever you want to have done as far as a hockey sweater is concerned. So you can definitely check them out. They're on Facebook, Black and Tan Sports.
Nice. And I want to give folks the heads up that I dropped into the chat. I'll put them in the doodly doo post show as well. But I dropped in the chat some of the links to the videos, the Facebook page, and where you can find Troy at on Twitter as well as Twitch. So folks, feel free to go ahead and look those up. So especially if you're into video game sports. One of the things I want to ask you, Troy, is did you see the new? Have you followed up at all on the new Mutant Football League?
So a great channel to follow is the Retro Sports Gamer. Tom out of Illinois did some coverage right when that came out. I have not played it yet, but I understand it has a very Blitz-like feel. And I did play Mutant League Hockey, at least on the emulators. I never own a copy of it, and finding ones, they get up there in price. But I heard good things. I heard it's, if you like the NFL Blitz, you'll like that game.
Oh yeah, and reading the reviews, it's kind of interesting because I read one review. I don't remember which exact outlet it was, but basically they gave everything like a 9 or an 8 until they got the graphics. Like the graphics was like mediocre. They gave the graphics like a 3 or a 4, and then they talked about like how the textures are blurry and this and this, but they said the gore is absolutely ridiculous. The frame rate is like a rock solid 30 to 60 frames a second.
Well, that's what you want in a sports game.
Yeah. And so they're talking about like, hey, look, we'll take the graphics as they are because the like you said, this article said the same thing, a very NFL Blitz type approach to it versus the Madden type approach in the original game on the Sega Genesis. But still, they went for the more arcadey feel of football than the simulation and realism type of thing. So I haven't tried it yet. I'm on it wasn't grandfathered in, unfortunately, right? Like I hadn't previously known that it was going to come out. But Tim Kitzrow, the announcer that did NBA Jam, right? He actually
boom shakalaka.
Absolutely, he was the he brought some boom and some shalaka to the Mutant Football League. So
he did the voice for Blitz too, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to go look that up now.
I believe he did. I believe he's kind of been their go-to guy for a while.
Oh wow. I'm gonna have to go look that up now. I'm hoping that this game does well because I would love to see them keep going further with it and enhance the number of plays, enhance the level of the amount of teams and things like that. And I'm also hoping maybe this leads to a mutant, maybe a mutant hockey league game. That would be really awesome.
They could somehow do that and merge the hit the ice gameplay, figure a way to make that work. I think that'd be fantastic.
Oh yeah. And then the other thing too is I think if there was like a mutant basketball league, right, and kind of the style of like NBA Jam meets Mortal Kombat, that would be amazing.
There's money made there to do that.
So from what I understand, like originally they wanted to have like a whole, like they wanted to cover every major genre. But then, NFL, NHL, NBA, they all kind of got very, because the EA at the time had the official licenses, and they were taking engines from their actual real, from their other games, and they were reusing them in this manner. A lot of the major sport affiliates were like, no. We don't want to be associated
the South
with the
Park version of Tiger Woods golf that they kept talking about after the whole Tiger Woods affair scandal.
Yeah.
Oh.
That would be so awesome. I would play that.
So, Lister's Mate has a question for Troy. He says, Troy, do you think Wayne's World is the best movie ever that mentions hockey?
Wayne's World's a great movie because of the pralines and some other word ice cream flavor line, but I don't think it has anything as far as hockey games go, or hockey movies go, I mean, there are definitely better options. So I can't give that rating. It's not a movie about hockey. They have 5 minutes of hockey or less in it. So
what?
We do have that memorable line though. Game on.
Game on.
So which is your favorite hockey movie?
I was gonna ask that same question.
I'm gonna say Strange Brew, even though I know it's only a minor part of it. But Strange Brew for me was really what did it. You hoser, take off, eh?
Yeah. Alrighty, folks. If anybody else in the chat has any questions for Troy, feel free to throw them out there. Again, we're talking with Troy. You folks, some folks know him as Troy GBLAN. Some folks also know him from King of 94 Wisconsin. So however you know him, right? Game on. That's right, Lister's Mate. Game on. So I do want to mention Lister's Mate. I heard String Bean Coffee. There were some storms or something in the area. You had to kind of shut down. You had to close down the store for a little while. I hope everything is okay in Lister's Mate land and with String Bean Coffee. I hope that we've had you mentioned before on the show about you have a coffee house and that kind of thing. So we hope that you're able to recover from the storm there. So, Lizzie, my friend, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while, kind of hit and miss. How you been? What have you been up to, girl?
Well, I got a new job, but it's one of those jobs that your schedule's different every day, and sometimes I was scheduled in the evening of the podcast.
Yeah.
So by the time I got work came here, it was already like after 10:30, 10:40. So it was just wasn't possible. I mean, and like a lot of crazy stuff been going on, so I kind of needed a little alone time.
I could certainly understand that. So we're glad to have you on the show. So have you had any major pickups that we've missed out on in your absence there?
I have a ton, but to be honest, like the recent picture I posted on my Twitter, I'm rearranging my room and my pickups are here and there. In fact, I feel bad because my Loot anime crate came in today.
Yeah.
And I got it because it featured a Sonic the Hedgehog item, and it was Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, really?
Now, yeah, and Loot Gaming just announced that they released Boss Battle. And again, that had Sonic, but I'm waiting for that to arrive in the mail. But I have a shitload of Sonic stuff. I mean, a bunch of stuff that I haven't had a chance to show, but I'm thinking of like
if you get a picture,
one future.
Go ahead.
No. I think a future episode, I'll put everything together and then I'll just show it like on the podcast. Like I know right now I've got the Funko Pops and I'm just waiting for Toys R Us because they released their own, their special edition.
Yeah.
It's a glow in the dark Sonic one, but they haven't released it yet, so I'm just waiting on that one.
A glow in the dark Sonic. What color does he glow? Does he glow green? Is he radioactive Sonic or what's the?
Well, it's probably like a yellowish. I mean, it's the blue Sonic, but I'm kind of concerned like how he's gonna glow. So I'm like, okay, but all my stuff stay in their box with their tags on, so it's kind of like
it'll remain a mystery. We'll never know.
Yeah, well, I might open one. I mean, that's why I buy two. I mean, you take one out of the box. You keep the box in your closet. The others stay on the shelf somewhere.
I almost did that with the pinball machine. Buy one, leave it in the box. Buy one, take it out. Although I'm joking, obviously, right? It comes in a big brown box, so it wouldn't be anything. But I was actually looking online, and they have these little jackets that you can put on the. I am legitimately concerned with. Maybe you folks are concerned with this too. Sun fading is a real thing, right? Like boxes and things getting just destroyed from ultraviolet and everything. Just kind of protection wise there. When I'm not using the arcade machine, I don't want it to just sit there and because it's going to be in a room that does get sunlight and I'm not blocking out the windows. But I didn't know that they made these little jackets. I'll have to wait till I paid off the machine to protect the machine. But because the jackets are like $80, but they have this jacket that perfectly fits on the scoreboard and fits across the table. that. So if I know I'm not going to use it for like some extended period of time, I can kind of keep it covered up. So, but
it's gonna look like your grandma and grandpa's house when they got all those coverings on the
oh,
new furniture.
It is. Lister's mate says
it's gonna crunch when you play it.
Right. Lister's mate says String Bean Coffee Shop is okay. We usually take a break during winter because it's a slow time of the year. Plus, flu season isn't being very nice to everyone around here. Well, I'm good to hear it, Lister. You seem like a really decent fellow, so we're certainly rooting for you. So good to hear that it's more of like a seasonal thing than a storm thing. I live in the Bay Area now, but I grew up in central New York, so right next to Lake Ontario. And anybody that's been in central New York near Lake Ontario knows we could get no snow that winter, or the snow could be over your roof. Like it was always like that was the spectrum. Yeah,
wow.
so there was a couple of years like that. Literally, we opened our window, dug a tunnel like up to the roof, and then like we'd take our sleds and we would slide off the roof like into the front yard. Because it was just one continuous slope. It was pretty amazing. And then if you fell, right, if the snow wasn't like super packed, like you came off the roof and like went, and you're just like literally like you're in the snow. There's like 10 feet like of fluffy snow all around you, and like you can't see anything. So you think you're walking back to the house, and then you're like standing by the side of the road, and you're like, what the heck? Because the roads were still getting plowed and stuff, and you're just like this seems weird. It's like I'm trapped in a Walgreens commercial or something. You expect to hear like this chorus of angels or something singing, and everything's white. So,
oh man,
well,
we actually finally got some snow here.
What was that, Jeremy?
I said Troy lives in Green Bay, so he knows all about snow.
And with the cold right now too, it's unseasonably cold.
Yeah,
it's been near or below zero every day for. It seems like forever. We had one little warm spot there about 2 weeks ago. Besides that, it's been pretty frigid. But you choose to live up here because we like seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I like seasons too. I really enjoy seeing seasons in the movies I watch and people's pictures on Facebook. I'm a big fan of seasons. But Lizzie, like Texas has been getting some snow, hasn't it?
Yeah, and we're kind of like, what the heck? Because the weather's been really weird this year. I mean, we had Hurricane Harvey, just took everything up here. We've had, hot weather, and then all of a sudden here comes all this icy cold weather, and then we had snow. We actually had snow, so people were like cheering and celebrating. Our mayor in Houston had said the city was shut down, nobody go to work, and he made sure on the news to let people know, hey, if your employees are staying home, you cannot fire them for not coming into work the next day.
Oh my goodness.
Like that's how scared everybody was, because like the roads were icy. They were talking about black ice, and we're not really used to any of this. We're kind of like, what? But I've been to New York, I've been to Virginia.
Yeah.
And so I've also been to Washington. So I've seen snow, I've touched it, I'm very aware of it. But this is Houston. We don't know.
And I think a lot of times, and I used to be guilty of this. But I get it now. I used to be like the whole like, wait a minute, like two little inches of snow like hit the ground and suddenly like state of emergency, everything's all shut down, right? Versus like central New York, it's like there's snow up to my roof, right? And the city's like, get those plows out there, clear the road, and make sure people know nothing's shutting down. Get to work, right? Like kids are going to school. You're expected to show up to work, right? Like if we shut down every time this happened, we'd spend like 3 months shut down, right? Like every other year. So, but and for a while it was like, oh, where is a badge of pride? We're so much tougher, etc. I get out here to California and I see how these people drive after it's rained or while it's raining, and I'm like, oh hell no, do I want you on the road if there's snow? No, not at all. You guys have no clue what you're what you're doing out there, and the roads aren't made for it either. It's not necessarily that people don't know what they're doing. I say that in jest, but more realistically, it's a when it's been predominantly super hot weather and the tires have been just shedding on the road, you get these like the oil from the tires the wear from the rubber on the tires and everything, that gets really slick, like really slick. So just even a light rain or a light misting can make the roads here very, very slippery, actually, especially if there hasn't been rain in quite a bit of time. So
6 months.
yeah. I mean, when I first moved out here, I think it was 2 years before it rained. Right? Is during the drought area. Yeah, like literally went 2 years without any rain whatsoever. Not a cloud in the sky all through winter, all through summer, everything. I'm like, wow, this is like bizarro to me, where I'm like, Central New York, 27% sunshine in a year, right? And then you come out here and it's like 99.8% sunshine. So it's a totally different experience. And so if they're not equipped for it, right? If they don't have the plows, if they don't have the ability to clear the roads, if people aren't used to the driving, because in New York, the deal is after a certain point, they would even like, okay, we're going to wait till the storm is over and then we're going to plow. And anybody that drives during the storm, we assume that you know how to drive in the snow. Like that's literally what they decided. And so you have people that kind of develop, this ability. And obviously you get a proper equipment for your car, like snow tires. And, if you're smart, you get like all-wheel drive, snow tires and all that other stuff, and you're all set. But like out here, I'm driving an electric car, right? Like I'm not going to get all-wheel drive for like the one time every 2 years that it rains. I'll just stay home that day.
Dude, it was.
I'll stay home that day.
Yeah, it was kind of a mess here because like the schools were shut down. Everything was. It's kind of like it was kind of weird seeing so many restaurants that you wouldn't go to.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically had one day closed, and then like it was like the schools were still closed, and some places, some places at work were still closed.
Yeah.
But they were like not sure what to do, and then like the people on the news would be talking, and then you would see a car slide off the road and like hit something. You're like, yeah, they didn't know what they were doing here.
And then the summer was weird for Texas too, right? Like I was reading in Texas and Arizona, like it getting so hot that people's fences were melting.
They were falling over. I mean, some
their siding was melting, their fences were melting.
Yeah, you could drop an egg and it would fry on the road.
Yeah, it's kind of. Kyle, my friend, you've been quiet most of the show. Any pickups? Any news you want to share with us?
Man, not really. I haven't bought much of anything lately except for Monster Hunter that I got the other week. I think I'm pretty good for pickups right now. There's nothing in the immediate future I'm really looking for.
Alrighty.
I can say pinball machine though. It looks sharp.
Oh my goodness.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm predicting that we're gonna see some, now the Shadow of the Colossus is out. I'm predicting that we're gonna see some PlayStation bundles with Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, it seems to make sense. I mean, this is still, a PS2 game remade twice, and still it's like a really awesome showcase of what a console can do and what people that are adequately, people that are really creative, can do. Even with hardware that's only considered to be adequate, right? Like the PlayStation 2, if you think about it, the fact that it was able to do anything even remotely resembling a game that's now running on the PS4 Pro is kind of,
Impressive.
kind of impressive. Yeah, super, super impressive. So, Troy.
Yes.
One more time, where can folks find you?
You can find me at King of 94 Wisconsin on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find me at Trojan Voice. And you can find me at Trojan1979 on Twitch. On YouTube, you can find me Troy GBLAN. GBLAN, as in Green Bay Local Area Network.
Nice. And now on some of those venues, right, finding you on Facebook and things like that, you guys are going to be streaming the events that are going on, right? So even if somebody can't get tickets, they can still kind of participate, right?
Correct, and we'll be sending out multiple links. We're actually going to have multiple streams going on simultaneously, but the one that will have Arda Ocal calling the games. And just to clarify, he's actually playing in the tournament as well, but he's not very good, so he's not going to. he'll be out of the first round most likely, but after the group play happens. But so we'll have group play on all those different streams. But once the bracket kicks in, we'll be going to a more professional broadcast format at that time, so you're probably a couple hours in to the fun, and then it'll be kind of go back to the to just the group play, and then once we get into bracket for Genesis as well, he'll be back on. So And I think I forgot the question, or did I answer it?
No, you totally answered
for
it. You totally answered it, and I'll fire one more on there. We're getting close to close. I just want to make sure I heard correctly. You're going to have the organist from the piano guys there as well?
From NEW Piano Guys, he's one half of a dueling pianos act. They normally roll in a couple baby grands.
Okay.
And when I told him what I was looking to do, he just thought it was like he's done a lot of different entertainment venues. He's like, I've never done anything like this, Troy. I'm in. And so
different piano guys than I was thinking, but still pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, guy's talented like out the wazoo. Local legend, fantastic guy, great entertainer. Looking forward to hanging out with him.
Excellent. That sounds like some fun. So, folks, still 4 spots left, right? That's more. You've got a better chance than at getting an Attack from Mars Pinball Limited Edition. So,
and if one last thing, so for anyone that maybe can't make it but wants to come out the Friday night, we are playing Tecmo Super Bowl. We're already going to have all the CRT TVs out, so we'll have some NES to set up and other random games. So the Friday night before, we'll be getting warm-up games for the next day, as well as Tecmo Super Bowl in. So if football is more of your thing, which is what people think of Green Bay about, if you think about Green Bay, it's Green Bay Packers, right? Well, We're going to go to the football game that kind of kicked it off for the rest of us before all the Maddens kicked in, little Tecmo Super Bowl. So, but thanks for having me on tonight. It's been fun.
Yeah, not a problem. So really good to have you. So I want to give one last final shout out also for the Game Room guys, www.gameroomguys.com. They've got quite a few pinball machines there, even though Attack from Mars Limited Edition appears to be, at least from my information, sold out. I'm noticing it shows is in stock on the page. So maybe it's still up for, maybe mine is still up for grabs until it's delivered on my curb, right? But they do have, I do want to mention that whether that one is sold out or not, they do still have the classic edition, and they still do have this special edition. So, and those are a little bit more affordable. They also have quite a few other pinball machines there, which are also in the in that whole lineup of greatest pinballs ever, including Medieval Madness. So there's a Medieval Madness special edition and regular edition. So, really, really awesome. These guys were really great to work with. They were super patient. Never once were they like, dude, like, just hang up. It's too much work. So they stuck through with me to the end, and we were both kind of rolling the dice as to whether or not the inventory would hold out. Fortunately for me, it looks like it did. So, I definitely recommend them. Another cool thing that I found out through the course of actually finalizing the order was that they actually they provide lifetime tech support for the pinball. So if I have some issues with it, like, not getting it to boot, or it's a pinball machine, there's lots of physical parts, lots of things that could go wrong. They have phone support where I can call them. They can help me diagnose what's wrong, help me maybe source a part if I need to replace a part. Obviously I'd need to pay for the part, but still, it's kind of cool being my first pinball machine purchase, to know it's not just, hey, here you go and you're on your own, and it's something old. Like, this is a brand spanking new version of a 20-year-old game, completely new, completely in box, and totally supported by these guys. So I would say if you're in the market for a pinball machine, maybe for String Bean Coffee or some other venue that you might have, these guys are maybe worth a look. So, but I don't agree with Jeremy, right? Discuss it with your wife and or husband.
Better ask for forgiveness and ask for permission. But again, I'm not married, so.
Yeah, I'm not married either, so.
All right, so really glad to have a fuller lineup. Lizzie, folks have been asking about you in the chat and in the Twitter, so hopefully you got anything you want to say to the fans that have been looking for you?
I'm back. I'm just been busy here and there, but don't worry, I'll be around.
Yep. So alive and well. So. All right, and Kyle, my friend, maybe next show, huh?
Maybe next show.
Maybe next show. All right, folks, it's been a really good night. I hope that you had some fun. Thank you again for helping me make what hopefully doesn't turn out to be the worst life decision of all time. If my family's going hungry and begging for food,
I'll send you some money.
We have to put your name on the raffle bowl at the tournament.
We'll get you a Patreon or a GoFundMe page.
Please help me get food for my like I didn't want to raise after I stood on the high pedestal of like, don't give money to me for my pinball machine, I got this covered. Now a week later, right, like please help me to get food for my family. Like I'm in debt for no reason related to my previous pinball machine expenditure. So all right, folks, it's been fun. We'll catch you next Tuesday. Take care.
Night.